session titled Effectiveness of Marketing and Communications in an Emerging Market. And we're using Nigeria as a case study. Now, we understand that there is a lot of increase in the startup community in Nigeria, and we want to understand how these startup organizations or startup businesses can really use marketing and communications to drive effective campaigns. And for this panel session, we would have Prince Will, Oluwafemi, and Habib, who would be sharing what they know how to share best in terms of marketing and communications. And trust me, these panelists have prepared themselves for whatever questions I'm going to throw at them, right? And they are willing to share everything they know without holding back. So if you are here, you have your writing materials ready. Remember, you can always use the chat section to share your questions. You can just, at the end of your question, you can put the name of the panelist you're trying to direct your question to. Okay, so Prince Will, Habib, and Femi, are you guys ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Awesome, I can hear you. Femi, are you in the house?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, yes, I can hear you now. And Latif, Habib, are you here as well?
Yes, I am.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to start with my first question, right? And Prince Will, this question is for you first, okay? We're talking about effectiveness of marketing and communications in an emerging market, and we're using Nigeria as a case study, right? So when startups want to create campaigns, right, they need marketing, they need communications, no doubt. But the question here is, how can they develop such strategic communications? Coming from a startup perspective. So Prince Will, this question is for you. How can small business owners, startups, for example, how can they develop strategic communications?
Okay, hello, May. Hi, everyone. Great to be here. To the question, how can startups develop strategic communication? So again, I will be looking at the question from different angles. Are we looking at startup as, a startup that has investment, that has the right talent? Or are we also looking at startup from maybe I am the only person in my room trying to view, my business, but trying to also ensure that I get communication and marketing right? But whichever way it is you want to look at it, I think one of the things you have to do first of all is you need to know your users. You need to define who your users are, and with defining your users, you come about creating benchmark. Because the truth is, there's really almost no new ideas. Something is borrowed from somewhere, or something has been done somewhere that can impact what you are trying to achieve. So one of the things you want to do is you need to know who is your user. You need to define that user. What are the interests of your users? How would they like to communicate to you? I see people marketing to a certain set of audience that are not serious. They are very laid back. They like laid back tone. And you are trying to use, really formal language. That is not going to resonate with them. So you need to know your users. You need to define who your audience are. And it's not defining it in your head again. One of the things I would like to tell people to do who are in this stage of growing their startups to do is, get on a sheet of paper, write down the name of a person you want to think that is your user. Mm-hmm. What are the things they like? What are the likely brands they follow on social media? Mm-hmm. What are the likely blogs they visit? Who are the likely authors they follow? What news channels do they listen to? What kind of YouTube channels do they watch? What kind of videos do they consume online? This will tell you, how you're going to structure your marketing. With benchmarks, one of the things I like to do is I always like to look at organizations that are in countries like like India, because again we have certain things as Nigerians with India, because their economy, while it's a bit far developed than ours, it's still in its developing stages. So you need to also create a benchmark. The last point for me to make is you need to make sure that your product is right for the market you're trying to target. Because we find out that, you know, we have startups now that are trying to recreate what has already been created. But there's no differentiation. There's nothing differentiating you coming to the market. And you're just going to be giving your communications team, your marketing person, or even if you are the startup entrepreneur yourself, doing it yourself, you're just going to be giving yourself headache. If you don't get that product right, if you don't get that service right, if it's not market fit, you're just going to be wasting your time and that of the users. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for really explaining more on that question. I think that it's important for startups, even established businesses, to first of all identify who their target audience is and how they can, you know, share or put out communication at various levels, right? So I'm going to go to Femi now. Femi, just as Prince Will has said, what do these businesses need? What do startups need, right? We're talking about an emerging market. Nigeria is an emerging market, just like India. And we are starting to see a very substantial increase in the startup community, right? So how can these startups, or what do they need to develop such communication? What do startups, okay, let me make the question direct and clear. What do startups need to develop such communication? Because as part of our audience here, we have people from diverse environment. We have people who are looking to start up their own businesses very soon. We have people who have already started their businesses but are looking to scale, right? So imagine you're talking to a startup owner, for example. How can they create communication with, you know, the tools that are readily available? What do they need, basically?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone can hear me loud and clear. Okay,
Yes.
now, basically, from your question, this is what I believe. The last few years, marketing has evolved, as went from just creating relevant content to building more reputable relationships. Now, this is what I mean when I say reputable relationships. You have your target audience. You have people you want to pass a message across to. Your marketing message should not just come off as, oh, I'm trying to sell this to you. It should come off as, I'm trying to build a relationship with you. Now, in the last 2 years, digital trends or communications and marketing trends has changed, and the way the audience are behaving, it has evolved beyond what people thought it was previously. Previously, I can see a marketing campaign and just get attracted to it immediately because someone is trying to pass a relevant message. But now, consumers or the audience, they want to be a part of your brand. They want to understand what you are doing, and they feel, okay, if you are building a brand, I want to be a part of this community. So as startups, either you are trying to sell a service or you are trying to sell a product, what you just need to do is to see or find or create a campaign or strategy around you building relationship with your target audience. Relationship is vital. Now, this is it. When you build relevant relationships with your target audience, it is easier for you to sell your experiences to them. Now, you can't just say you want to create a marketing campaign and all you are trying to do is to lure them or make them patronize or do what you want them to. What you just need to do is build relationships with them. You have a goal, you have a target audience, create campaigns, create marketing messages that can actually build that relationship. So when you build that relationship with your target audience, it becomes easier for you to sell your experience to them. And once they know it, and once they can actually buy your message, or once they understand what you are trying to pass across, they believe this is a community they can belong to. And once there's a community around your brand, in a couple of months or weeks or thereabout, you can actually get a substantial amount of audience or amount of consumers who are ready to patronize your brand. Let me use Paystack for example. I remember when Paystack came into the business some years ago, most people just felt the kind of market or communications plan they had was focused, or it was Nigerian centric. Imagine coming into a community where there's, as in, we don't really have much organizations or much company that sell that kind of service, and you are trying to tell them, oh, this is a Nigerian owned brand. One thing they did was to win the heart of certain Nigerians and tell them, oh, if a foreign brand is giving this to you, we as Nigerians can give you the same service.
Femi, we are losing you. Your voice is beginning to fade. Okay, it's better now.
It's better now. Okay.
Yes.
I'm saying, so what they actually did was to sell their idea, a Nigerian-centric idea, to their target audience. They didn't just sell it off as, oh, my brand is doing this. They sold it off as, this is who we are, and we are trying to build a community for Nigerians who can thrive, creatives to get more income and everything around the creative industry. People believed in this message. They bought it, and they built relationships with their target audience through their marketing messages. And in a couple of years, the business was, like we heard some weeks ago, that it was it was acquired by Stripe for a worth $200 million. That's like a milestone. That's like a milestone. And in 2018, one thing people need to understand: in 2018, the ex CBO of Google X, Mohammed Goddard, he said something that in Africa we've not experienced half of the world's technology. So that tells you there's a whole lot of opportunity in Africa. There's a whole lot of opportunity in Nigeria. So what matters most is how brands really want to build relationship with their consumers and sell their experiences to them through their communications messages. And in a couple of months or years, they can get going. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for clarifying that. I think there was a tweet some days ago where someone was asking, is it better to build a community before launching a product, or you launch a product and then build your community? So Femi, you talked about community building and community relationship. So if you were to advise a startup, for example, right, what would you tell them to focus on? Like, either build a community first and then launch your product second, or launch your product first and then build a community second?
Okay, for me, I believe you launch your product first before you build a community around it. Now, if you are trying to build your community before launching your product, what are you trying to pass to the target audience? They don't really know what you do. They don't even understand what your brand is about. The only set of people you can actually relate with are those that are in your circle, people who believe in your goals or who understand what you are trying to do. But now, if you are looking at the broader part of it, you definitely need to launch a product, and you build your community. You know your target audience, definitely. So your marketing messages helps you build a community around your brand once you've launched your product.
Okay, clear enough. Let me come to you, Habib. You are the lead marketing personnel for your PR agency, right? When startups create content for social media, sometimes what we see is that a startup wants to be everywhere at the same time, right? They create a business and they just want to be on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all at the same time. And the truth is, if you want to pass across content to your respective target audience, irrespective of where they are, some people will argue that they have to do it step by step. They have to focus on a channel before going to another channel. So my question to you is this, Habib, right? What marketing channels should startups focus on when they are just starting out? I was saying that what we see today is startups creating a business and wanting to be on social media, in fact, all social media platforms at the same time, because they're trying to, get awareness, they're trying to get possible sales and all of that. But that is, personally speaking, I think that is not an effective move, trying to be everywhere at the same time. So from your experience, from your startup, from a startup perspective, to say, what channels, what marketing channels should startups focus on when starting out their businesses?
Okay. So I think first and foremost, every brand ought to know where their fault lies. And every brand ought to know where they should do more and where they should do less. I've worked with brands that immediately they launched, the aim was to be everywhere. And that is because of the kind of brand they are. So let me explain. They launched, I think that was in October. So their target audience, generally everyone who needed a job or who would sometime in their life need a job. So this set of people, you can actually find them on the web, perhaps not on social media platforms. Now you can find them on, say, news websites. These people are trying to look for vacancies. You can find them on, you can literally find them anywhere they know they can get work off. So you see, for that brand, they wanted to be on news websites. They wanted to be on social media where people who are jobless, in quotes, always are, although that is not true. Being on social media every time doesn't mean your job is here.
Yeah.
But then they wanted to be on Instagram, they wanted to be on LinkedIn, they wanted to be on Twitter, they wanted to be on Facebook, they wanted to be just everywhere. Why? Because of what they do. But then again, there are some brands that it's very possible to streamline your presence to a particular place. You can decide that you want to be on YouTube, probably because you create visual content that people can get to watch and they would enjoy. The experience would be more seamless when they're doing that from YouTube than for you to have your presence on, say, a platform like Twitter, where you have constraint to the length of your video.
Okay. Let me cut you short on that just because of time.
Okay.
So what you're saying is each business, depending on their objectives, depending on their goals, they need to identify what marketing channels they should go for when starting out, right?
Exactly.
Okay, great. That was clear. Now, in just a couple of minutes, Femi, I'm coming to you now. Marketing campaigns are good for creating awareness. We all know that, right? So my question is this, Femi. Do you think it is important for every new product to go through a marketing campaign? Do you think every launch that a business wants to put out, every new product must go through a marketing campaign? Just tell us what you think about that in 3 minutes.
Okay, it's definitely important for a brand that is launching a new product to go through a marketing campaign. Now, this is it. You don't want to market a new product you are just launching. Then how do you inform the target audience or possibly your potential consumers that you've launched a product? You get what I'm trying to say? You need to carry your audience along. Sometimes it might not just be the over booming marketing campaign, but there has to be a way you just need to inform your target audience. We are launching this product, or just get ready. There is something big coming up. Just put them along the line and make sure they have an idea of what you are planning for them, because the brand is not just about you, it's about them.
Yeah,
so
true.
You need to carry them along with your marketing campaigns. Thank you.
Okay, Prince, let me come to you. Are there any benefits or disadvantages that a business can experience if they have a launch plan for every new product? What do you think the benefits are, and if there are any disadvantages?
Sorry, come again.
Okay, my question to you is this. Are there any benefits or disadvantages, like advantages and disadvantages of businesses launching a new product? So what I'm trying to say is this. Is it possible that every new product that is being launched by a business must have a campaign plan, like must go through a marketing campaign? If your answer is yes, what are the benefits of doing that? And are there any disadvantages of not doing it?
The advantages of doing that, I would say, would be top of the mind. You're already informing your audience, your users, on the new product you're launching. Another one will be user acquisition. You obviously be acquiring maybe new customers, new people who are willing to pay for your product.
Okay.
One of the ways to do that is when you're creating your marketing campaign, you can reach out to people who have used products from your brand. Say, hey, can we get testimonials? Can we get marketing case studies from you as part of your marketing campaign? The disadvantage of not doing that would be, so I would give an example. I used to be really pretty pissed at one of the products I've been using in Nigeria that to a certain extent was really great to me, but I wasn't seeing any campaign. I wasn't seeing anything being put out about the features. Even up to this year, I wanted to purchase something using Butter. The company I'm talking about, the product I'm talking about is Butter by Flutterwave. I hadn't seen until sometime this year, I saw that they were doing a campaign where they were trying to recruit students,
ambassadors,
to use them as ambassadors and all that. And I was really happy they were doing that, because all this while I've been using that product and I was wondering why there's not any push from that brand, why they are not pushing this. So the disadvantages will be that, new people who should hear about your product would not hear. You would lack the inability to collect testimonials to brag about your business, to say, hey, this is what we're doing. And you risk in the business circle, it's really fierce, even marketing outside. Business is in business made money. You launch a product today and you don't do a campaign for it to get to market agile, for you to be agile about it to get to market. And one big company that has the right money, that has the right marketing budget, that has the right audience, that has the right access to all the TV commercials, they steal that feature, build the product overnight, and then they push it to market. And what you're saying is people are looking at you like, are you copying them? But the truth is, you had launched that product before them, so you need to avoid that. One of the things I want to mention to add to what Oluwafemi said earlier was, he mentioned that if you're launching a product, make sure you launch your product before you build your audience. I think that is also really important. But also, I would like to say, if you are offering a service, it's always also good for you to build some kind of community with, because service is really different, because you're trying to build, you want to build thought knowledge, you want to show people that I can offer this thing. So another way to do it would also be either you launch your service and then build your audience, or build a community around it. One of the things I saw with a marketing platform in the United States, I can't remember the name, I think it's Lemonade. What they did was, the developers that were developing the product, they were writing about what they were doing. And by the time they were up to launch, the marketing team had a lot of content for them to churn out. So you can find really creative ways to do it, and both sides can really work. Okay, super. Thank you so much.
So small business owners, startup owners that are in this event, you've heard it from our experts, right? It is important that when you want to launch a product, you need to create a form of plan, an awareness plan, right? It could be offline, or it could be both. But it is important that you create a plan, and that plan will help push whatever product or service that you're trying to launch. So let me come to you, Habib. You're a marketing and communications person, right? Now, in this country, in Nigeria, sometimes we do not understand the role of marketing and communications. Like, we don't understand the role of a marketing and communication specialist. What should they be doing? We see some form of communication on social media, and then we're asking ourselves, what's going on with the communications department? Why would someone put this out, or why would a business put this out? So my question to you is this: what exactly is the role, what is the job of a marketing and communication specialist? What should they be doing? And how can organizations and even the external stakeholders, which are like the consumers, the clients and all of that, how can they feel the presence of a marketing and communication specialist in an organization?
Okay. So I think the first thing to take note of is the fact that whatsoever ideation that a brand, that a company needs to go through, it starts off with the brand marketing and communications personnel or specialists. So say we need to launch a new product. The brand communications and marketing specialist is aware of this. And then these are the people, it might be one person, it might be a team that would now develop PR strategies. They would also help to develop marketing strategies too. And in cases whereby they would be working with the kind of people they would be working with, they are the ones who would feed them on things that need to be put in place. Also, when it comes to managing brands presence, they will work with social media managers. You know, they won't be taking the roles of social media managers, but rather they would work to ensure that they deliver excellently what they should do. And how their presence can be felt is basically in the kind of strategies they come up with and how they are able to effectively implement these strategies. So they are not just like people who are like just to be behind. They actually are at the forefront, because any glitch, any fault would still be traced back to them. So they are really people that would be doing a lot of homeworks to bet a lot of ideas, to bet a lot of things that brands will now put out. So they are not just people who are on the side. They're actually like front runners who they would work with brand. I mean, like every process, starting from the ideation stage, the stage whereby they would now start talking about strategy, the phase whereby they would eventually implement the strategies. Marketing and communications specialists and personnel are all in it.
Okay, awesome. Let me come to you, Femi, right? Economic crises are sometimes inevitable. Things happen in the economy that sometimes are beyond our control as professionals and beyond the control of business owners, right? But the question is this: is it essential for new businesses? Now, the key word is new businesses, right? To lend a voice when there are economic crises. We saw the End SARS movement, and we took note of the brands that were were able to lend their own voices. And truth is, they were mostly from the startup community. Established brands kept dilly-dallying and all of that, but we saw a lot of support from the startup industry, right? So for someone who is also willing to start a business, right, we're talking about effectiveness of marketing and communications, and lending a voice is part of communication. So the question is it essential for new businesses to lend a voice? And how can they even do that? What should they be doing?
This is a very tricky question. Okay, so this is how it works. Sometimes, or most times, it's better for you to know your target audience before you venture into what might cripple your business or elevate your business. Now, this is it. If you are looking into having new consumers as a startup, like you said, you're looking into having new consumers, and you still want to sell your idea to them, and most of your target audience are those set of people that need you to speak out.
Okay.
You definitely need to speak out to win their hearts. But if you are a very big business, an established business, and what you are looking out for, you are not even looking out for the new consumers. What you are just looking out for is just to maintain the relationships you've had with people in top organizations or top businesses. It is a very tricky one. I won't lie to you. And that is why you see that top brands during the NSAS protest, a lot of top brands in Nigeria didn't say a word. And the ones that said something, they were actually in between. So now this is where communications come into play. You know, you have consumers in the downstream. You know, you have stakeholders in the upstream, and you know the upstream, they are the ones monitoring or overseeing what is happening for the middle class and the downstream. So what you do as a communication specialist is to create a message that stays in between. You're not criticizing anyone. You're not telling this person is wrong. You're not saying this person is right. Because now you can make certain decisions come out that will hurt that business or that will hurt the organization you're working for. You can't just come out and say, oh, okay, for example, your organization is linked to the government and most of your clients are coming from the government and you're just out there criticizing them. I'm not saying what the government is doing is right and we are supporting them, but you need to find a way.
So what you're saying is being diplomatic about it.
Yes, you have to be very diplomatic.
Prince Will, do you agree with that? Because you are also a marketing and communications person. Do you agree with what Femi has said, being diplomatic in lending a voice? Tell me about it.
I think Femi is he's right. Business is in business to make profit. One of the things that I think is you don't have to keep quiet. You
because silence is complicit. That's it. You cannot keep quiet.
Like Femi had pointed out, one of the things I saw about being in between was I think I've forgotten the name of the brand. What they did was they put out a communication and said end police brutality and blah blah blah. They were at the end of the day blaming government, but the truth is there's an issue in the society.
Yeah.
To the certain extent, if it affects your audience, if you don't keep quiet with this generation, especially this generation we're going into now, I don't see a business trying to keep quiet, trying to be silent like many organizations did during this, saving them. It's either you find a way to put out a communication that is not anti your customers and not anti your high end customers and people that support your business by being in between at the end of the day. But you cannot keep quiet. You must do something. You must in some way contribute and say something.
Thank you very much. The message is clear. You must contribute. You must say something. Silence is complicit. If you're silent, it means that you are on the side of the tyrant or on the side of inhumanity. So it is important, okay? If you are a potential small business owner and you're in this event, it is important that you lend a voice, but be diplomatic about it, because you don't want to do something that will hurt your brand or blacklist your brand. So you have to be diplomatic about it. But what's important is, since you're dealing with people, you're dealing with consumers, you're dealing with actual people. There are people who are patronizing your business or your services, and there is an issue that affects them as a people. You should lend a voice. But what's important is being diplomatic about it. That was a very clear one, right? So to summarize this panel session, okay, I'll come back to you, Habib, rather. What are the marketing and communications trends to look out for in 2021? 2021 is like less than 40 or 35 days to go, and we are going to see a high increase in marketing campaigns, in marketing initiatives. A lot of businesses are starting to understand the importance of storytelling. There's going to be a lot of changes. There's going to be a lot of monetization on social media. So from your own perspective, what are the things that we should look out for? Individuals, small business owners, even established businesses. What are those trends that they should look out for in 2021?
Okay. During this, since we're also focusing on emerging markets, I'm going to focus a lot more on emerging markets. I think number one for me would be local SEO. Okay. I think a lot of startups and small businesses, and I mean small businesses, I mean as well as you're selling something on your street that you know that every week in, week out makes you money, overlook the power of small SEO. If you go on your phone after this and type tomatoes in Lagos, type food in your area, put your area name, Ikeja, Bagada, Port Harcourt, Jos. What you're going to see is every business that has been somehow optimized on Google My Business is going to pop up. I think people need to start taking that really serious. Whether you're a small startup, no matter what you're doing, take your Google My Business, your local SEO very serious. And the good thing about local SEO is Facebook is optimizing Facebook and Instagram as well for local SEO. So it means that if you're also going to be searching for businesses on those platforms, you're likely going to get suggestions of businesses around you. So that can also help you increase sales, increase store visits, storefront visits to your place. Something for me that would work is we somehow believe that digital marketing is cheap. The truth is that it is not cheap.
True.
It is not cheap. It's actually cheaper than traditional marketing. So a trend for me, I would really be looking at is startups, small businesses using more of paid advertising on social media, and looking at platforms like Facebook and Instagram. I would recommend them highly because, again, for a small business, those platforms, they give you better ROI. They are very cheap also for you to run ads on. That would be number 2. Number 3 for me would be micro and macro influencers. Consumers and customers are in an age where they know, no matter how smart you are, they would know that this thing is an influencer. So using just one person or 2 influencers with huge following, it's no longer going to be enough. Why don't you find
the micro ones
in your network? Yes, that you can reach out to, that have it's easier for someone that has 1,000 followers to influence 2 people out of that 1,000 followers than for someone that to influence what you have to go through, to get those people to take action. Because those people the small businesses need to also look at that. Lastly, for me would be, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So last for me would be we're moving in an age where voice search is really becoming really, really big. So whatever you are optimizing on your social media, on your platforms, on your storefronts, ensure you take into calculation that someone might be on their phone. If you're putting that thing on the storefront, that they might tomorrow implement voice search, because the big leagues at Google, Amazon, all of them are doing this. Whenever you go on the platform, you go on AliExpress, image search and all those things are really becoming big. So we really need to start finding ways as small businesses to really play on the world stage, because the good thing about digital is this. Someone in the UK would want to buy your hair care product and want you to find a way to get them to the UK. They no longer care, whether it's because it's being made somewhere in Lagos, or it's being made somewhere in Aba, or it's being made somewhere in North. What they want to know is, what is the authenticity around this thing? What is the story around it? Does it really work? Has it really been working with people, and will it work with me? I think those are the big marketing trends I'll be looking at as in emerging markets as Nigeria and other emerging markets.
Okay, very important trends here, especially the local SEO. I think a lot of people are sleeping on it. Yeah, people need to get back on that as well. Voice search, it's going to be really big, I think, from next year and onward. So Femi, let me come to you, okay? What do you think are the trends for marketing and communications that we should also look forward to in 2021?
The first thing I'm looking out for is conversational marketing.
Okay.
The audience have gone beyond people who want to listen. They want to have a voice. They want to interact. You have to give them that chance to interact. Conversational marketing is back. And this is the point where people need to make use of social media to really interact. Don't just post and go, build relationships. Don't have don't even have generic replies. A couple of brands, they have generic replies, like the same reply you are giving to someone today is the same thing you are giving to the next person. So you begin to look like a robot. So now you really need to reply people as if you are human. You understand? Have that human relationship with them. Then another thing I'm looking out for is old school marketing. I think it's back. Okay, let me use God forbid, something happens and Twitter stops working. What are you going to do? Nothing, right? Where you have blogs, you have newsletters, people are beginning to pay more attention to that, and video marketing, the pace at which video marketing is increasing is way too much, and organizations and brands, they need to pay attention to it. They really need to, because it's one of the marketing trends for 2021. So for that, that is nice for me. Those three, they are my top three for 2021.
Okay, awesome. So we'll take in a couple of questions in the next 10 minutes. If you have any questions, please use the chat section, and then our panelists will be able to answer you. So for the first one, right, it says, please, can you give a practical example of conversational adverts? So I think, Femi, this one is for you. What conversational advert means, right? And probably 2 or 3 examples that you can quickly share.
Okay, have you seen the latest McDonald's ad? Okay, this is what they did. And a typical example of conversational marketing, this is what they did. They had a couple of their staff walking into one of their outlets. And what
I think I saw that video.
They had the background music coming, and it was as if they were having a physical conversation. The target audience, just to build that relationship. Now, conversational marketing doesn't really mean only when they ask questions. Your communication materials should come across to your target audience as if you are human. How you have a one-on-one conversation with someone who is beside you. That is what conversational marketing is majorly about. And once you can have a hack of it, then you can definitely use it to build relationship with your target audience or consumers.
Okay, good. I think also to add to that is conversational adverts are very creative. Sometimes it catches the customer or the consumer unawares. And you know, when the conversation is organic, it flows properly, not when something is planned, right? So like the McDonald's advert, I saw the video and it was fantastic, because I mean, imagine you walking into a restaurant and you're watching a TV, and then the TV is actually talking to you. You know, you'd obviously want to have that kind of conversation, because number one, you're surprised, secondly, you're shocked, you know. So those kind of things are very creative and organic as well, right? So I see another question here, and Prince Will, I think this is for you. It says, where are you looking at local SEO being applied? Where are you looking at local SEO being applied? I think this person is asking probably what kinds of businesses can use local SEO.
Okay, typically any business can use local SEO. If let me go very low. If you're a plumber, if as simple as that looks, if I go on my phone and search for plumber in Ikeja, plumber in Lagos, I might not really see anybody. But imagine you stay in Yaba, or you stay in Surulere, and you go on Google, get a Google page, optimize it and all that. Anybody that searches for that will see you. So basically any business that you can pick for, whether you are a tailor, whether you're a fashion stylist, whether you cook food, so you make food in bulk for people for you to supply to people, so that they don't have to stress themselves to cook. Or you are a dry cleaner in your area, you want to position yourself as the best dry cleaner in your area. There was something, let me shock you. Actually, why I mentioned tomatoes was, I think sometime, was it this year or last year, I had a conversation with someone on Twitter who was posting images of the tomatoes he was selling in baskets and all. And he somehow definitely got the hang of it. And I shared an article I had written with him, and he went ahead and opened a page where if you go on Twitter, I don't think anybody has also created. If you go
something
on Google
like
right
that,
now and search for tomatoes in Lagos, he's going to pop up. And he's basically told me that a lot of people have reached out to him that way. So you really cannot limit yourself with the kind of businesses that you do. And don't forget, the reasons for this is that if you're playing long term, if you're not just in business for me to just, make these sales and just go away. If you're playing long term, you want to grow this business, you're going to be looking at strategies that can help your business survive longer. And the truth is, people are spending more time on their phones. They are spending more time, just on screens. And how can you reach those people without just ads? Ads are beginning to have less click rates than they used to have back in the day. So what other smart ways can you, get your business in front of people? And I think local SEO is one great way to do that also.
Yes, I think that with local SEO, it's a straightforward application. You fill in the whole thing, and then I think Google sends you a verification code to your address to verify that the business is real, and then you are the owner of the business.
Real.
Yeah. Okay, so we take one last question from Chie Dozier, and this is for you, Femi. He says, how do you think the conversational marketing thing can work in Nigeria? Seeing that there's still a lot of bleakness. I call it bleakness to storytelling, and people just want to trend hashtags and all of that. But when it comes to like deep thoughts on how to really be creative, it's kind of hard here. So how can conversational marketing work? Can it even work in Nigeria? I think that should be the question. Can it work?
Okay, definitely it can work in Nigeria. Now, this is it. Once you know your target audience, you know how they reason, you can be able to create content that suits what they want to listen to and how you can interact with them. For example, I'll use Direct. So many times I go on Direct's page just to go and see content, laugh, and learn. Why am I doing that? Because they don't just create content that sells the product. They create the content that suits the reality of so many people. So once you create content that suits the reality of your target audience, definitely you are trying to strike a conversation, and how you manage that conversation with them from the feedback you get, from the comments you get, is how conversational marketing begins and moves on. So you really need to be very creative, like you said. Creativity is one thing about conversational marketing, but once you are creative and you can get a hack of it, just create content that suits the reality of your target audience. Then once you can do that, then you are good.
Okay, awesome. All right,
another thing I would like to
Okay, go on, please.
Another thing I would like to mention about conversational marketing is, so a lot of people have chatbots on their websites.
True.
I know
even on social media.
Yes. So a lot of people have chatbots. You can use Mobile Monkey, you can use Drift on your social media. One of the things you need to do is you need to look at that chatbot, the way people interact with it, and create it in such a way that someone having a conversation via that chatbot, whether it's on your website, whether they won't know it's a bot behind it. And you can really do that, because one of the things I experienced is so during this whole remote working from home, there's a company I know that recently, I think it was around May or so, after the lockdown, they immediately implemented that on their website. And what they noticed is, so you're not always going to be there for when someone wants to speak to you, but they created, a conversational approach with what they do. And what they saw was they started getting more people asking about using their office spaces to conduct meetings on the mainland rather than going all the way to the island to do work because of the stress. They started getting, business professionals who fly into Lagos and want to work from somewhere because they can't trust internet in their homes and buying, mobile data. They come in to use the space to work. So you can really build conversations like Femi had said. All you need to understand is, how do I communicate to my audience like we are friends? How do you if the person that wants to buy from you, if they were your best friend, how would you send them an email? How would you reply their social media DM? It's not when they send you a DM like Femi had said, you will take 48 hours to
respond.
You really need to talk to them, plain the way you talk to your friends. I think that's the way to to start it, and then monitor what is working for you, and then also build and improve on that.
Okay, awesome. Habib, are you here now? Let's take one or two trends from you.
Yes, I mean.
Okay, great.
Sorry,
so tell
I had
us.
to switch to my phone.
We get it. So
Alright.
just in 5 minutes, just tell us a couple of trends you think we should look forward to in 2021.
Okay, so I think I mentioned one yesterday on Twitter. The fact that a lot of us now, please, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I mentioned one on Twitter yesterday, the fact that a lot of consumers now, they actually want to see more videos. So instead of just putting creatives, just graphics on your page, I think marketing personnel need to infuse more of videos. It might be long videos, it might even be short videos.
Yeah.
Videos that within 30 seconds, you're able to capture people's mind and also able to give out information you need to give out. Also, I think marketing automation might be more of a thing. Part of it is what we, I think it was Pat who mentioned that now. The fact that you actually don't need to be there before you can sell. You actually don't need to be there before you can convert someone. So a lot of brands also might be infusing that into their strategies. They can actually get to convert, they can make leads more through marketing automation. So more videos and then marketing automation. I think some others that I feel like would surface was mentioned earlier by you guys here.
Yeah. Okay, great. We got that. Video content will increase next year, and marketing automation as well. I can see some comments here. Marketing executives are, of course, overwhelmed because they have to do practically everything: strategy, thinking, execution. So there's going to be a lot of automation next year, and I think that will take a chunk of work from such marketing person. All right, then, thank you very much. We have finally ended the first panel session. I really appreciate every one of you that's taking your time to drop a chat, to drop a comment, to ask questions. We sincerely appreciate, and you can also give us your feedback on the chat. Tell us what you think about this first panel session in the chat. And we are moving to the second panel session. I hope you're ready, because this talks about creating content marketing strategies for social media. Content is king, but how do you create those contents? Most importantly, how do you execute those contents, right? So we have Happiness, Lolade, and Irene, who are going to be sharing their ideas, their best practices, their experiences on how you can create content for social media, and most importantly, how to obviously execute them. So, Happiness, are you here?
Hi, hello.
Hi, Happiness. Good afternoon. Irene, are you here too?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Super. Now that works for us. Okay, so let's go into it, right? This is going to be an interesting conversation because it has to do with content. Without content, there's no social media. And without social media, some businesses will die. And that's the truth, right? So we understand that content marketing is powerful, especially for small businesses that may not have the huge budgets. That's why a lot of people, when they start a business, they want to quickly go on social media to, put out content and all of that, right? Most importantly, they want to be on social media to grow their presence, which we talked about in the first panel session. We talked about community building and why it is important to build a community for your products or for your launches, right? So I'm coming to you, Happiness, first. How can small business owners create content? That's the first question. How can remember, they are small business owners, they are just starting. How can they create content for social media? Okay, I think we lost her for a bit. Lolade, let me come to you now. Okay, so the first question is, how can small businesses create content for their social media?
Okay, thank you for the question. First thing I would say is, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
All right. The first thing I would say is this: producing content is not hard at all. Anyone can create content in 3 hours. But what is hard for many people, is getting their content seen by target audience. That is the major problem we have. You can easily sit down and say, okay, I want to create content, and just create content, even if it is not something that resonates with your audience.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can get people to interact with your content, but
okay.
A lot of people have problem getting their content seen. The visibility is not good. So I think let me just explain how.
Hi, May. I'm back. I'm here now.
Oh, okay. All right, Happiness. Welcome back. We're just taking the first question by Lolade.
Okay.
So Lolade, you were saying?
Yeah. So there is this strategy that I use for my clients. Whenever I want to create content marketing strategy for them, there's this 6 questions that I always ask myself before doing anything. And
6 questions.
Yeah, 6 questions I always ask myself before doing anything. And if you can answer the 6 questions, you already have your marketing strategy. You know how to create your content, what to create, what to not create, where to publish it and where you should not publish it. So let me start with the first question. First question you need to always ask yourself is why? Why do I need to create content? You get, why is your business doing this? Are you trying to, are you trying to drive more brand awareness? Are you trying to generate more quality leads? Are you trying to improve retention and loyalty? Whatever your business, whichever your business objectives might be, answering the question why, is very, very important to help you goals you are trying to accomplish. Wherever you want to.
Okay.
So if you can answer the why, you already have your goal, and that is the first step in any strategy. What goal are you looking to achieve? So when you know, okay, I want to create content for maybe pregnant women. Let's say I want to create content for pregnant women. So I already know that, okay, I want to create content for pregnant women to educate them how to eat elderly when they are pregnant, what they should eat, what they should not eat. So that is the goal. That is the main reason you are creating your content. So the second question you need to ask yourself is, who are you creating this content for?
Yeah.
So who is the audience there? Okay, I know that, okay, I want to create content for pregnant women.
Yeah.
But you need to be specific as you can about who you want to reach your content. Okay, so you can effectively reach target audience. You can't effectively reach them if you don't understand who they are, what content they want or need, what is their age, what is their age, their psychographics, their demographics. You want to go beyond traditional demographics such as age, their income level. You learn about your target audience, creators, their triggers, their aspirations.
I will have to cut you short on that. Let us get a perspective from Irene now. Irene, what social media channels should businesses focus on? I want you to specify or name those social media channels. Now, you know that we had this question in the first panel session where the panelists, I think it was Prince Will now, who was saying that people should identify their goals first and determine which platform they want to publish on. So this question is for you, Irene. Okay? I want you to name those social media channels. From your experience, you've worked with startups, you've also worked with established businesses across the country, right? What social media channels, I want you to name them, should businesses focus on when starting out, and why should they focus on those channels?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's better now.
Yeah. So I would say that there is no one size fits all approach to marketing, right? You cannot say that everyone has to be on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, right? The question is, what is the business, right? If you have a business that's targeted at working professionals, right? LinkedIn might be a place to be, because if you think of the entire landscape, there's Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, there's even Pinterest. Pinterest is a great thing, right? But then the question is, what are you selling? Who are you selling it to? And what are you trying to achieve, right? And then best practice is, a lot of small businesses tend to do this thing where you create a ton of channels, because everybody says, oh my God, be on Instagram, be on Facebook. It's not like that, right? I always recommend that you focus on two. Right? So what you're selling, is it something that requires some visuals? So for example, if you're selling clothes, for example, you should probably be on Instagram and Twitter more than anywhere else, right? You can market from Facebook into Instagram and Facebook, but you should be on the channels that are most relevant to your business, to your target audience, and to your objectives.
Awesome. You killed that question, and it is very, very crucial. In fact, it is one of the most essential things that businesses have to identify. How is this particular social media channel useful to my business? If it's useful, I'll go there. If it's not useful, then you step out. Because if you are a small business owner interested in selling or marketing your dresses, you cannot be on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is for professional services, right? But if you are selling clothes, shoes, bags, Instagram and Twitter might actually be your best bet. So thank you very much for killing that question. I'll come to you, Happiness. Are you ready?
I am sorry, I'm here.
Okay, awesome. So the question is, how can businesses establish a content marketing strategy? Now, the truth is, for every 21st century business, in quotes, they ought to have an existing content marketing strategy, and that strategy would guide the business on how they should obviously perform on social media. But the challenging question is, how can they create that strategy? You know, when people hear strategy, they always feel like, oh, it's one ambiguous thing, it's very difficult, oh, I can't do this and all of that. But I believe that there are certain steps to follow. Maybe step 1, do your research. Maybe step 2, identify your goals. Maybe step 3, weigh your opportunities and all of that. So from your own perspective, what are those steps to follow to create a content marketing strategy?
Yeah, not so far from what Abimbola was saying earlier. So before starting out to push your content on socials, you have to first figure out what your content marketing goal is exactly. Are you trying to create more awareness? Are you doing socials for the sake of solely marketing? Are you doing it solely for PR? I mean, you see some organizations, they are not exactly being salesy on their socials. They are more about putting out the information and just growing the community. It doesn't mean they wouldn't make sales at the end. Yeah. So I'm saying there are different goals. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I'm saying, so there are different goals, so you have to figure that out. If you're doing socials for PR or marketing, they're different. So you would know the tone of language you use, you know what kind of storytelling you're going to give that. Then next, you have to figure out who your audience are. Yeah, you have to figure out who your audience are. Then aside that, you have to figure out what platform they are frequenting. Yeah, so if I know I want to reach out to more corporates, and speak in that kind of corporate tone of language, I will be spending more time with LinkedIn audience here. Yes. So, and then you have to understand the language they speak in. Yeah. I wouldn't open a shop, say in the marketplace, and be speaking phonetics here. So I would be speaking in their language. I have to understand. You have to spend time on those socials and actually understand what is happening there. So, and next you have to also figure out how what form of content you're going to put out, what form of content resonates with your kind of audience. There are different formats for content. There's video, podcast, audio, and so many others. Sorry, I'm quite nervous. Not exactly nervous. So after that, then So yeah, spoken about understanding the platforms, then you mostly for starting platforms or whatever, sorry, you're going to do a lot of trial and errors. Yeah, you're going to keep trying things. Some will work, some won't work. But what happens is those ones that work, you have to check your analytics. There are major big role. You have to go back and check what is working, what isn't working. You have to those that are working, you keep building on them and keep milking it in a way. Yeah. If you figure out that something is working, figure out, okay, this is working. Why is this working? Then push out more content for that. And those that aren't working, you have to figure out why isn't this working. And also, so you just, I mean, and all of that.
Okay.
And promote, engage. I mean, your content is not just enough to be created. You also have to sometimes
promote.
So they can, your audience can see them. So it's not just enough to say you're creating organic content. Sometimes there's a place for paid. Just going to round it up.
Awesome. So that summarizes that question, right? At the end of the day, you have to sometimes promote, but most times engage. Exactly. Connection and engagement. That is what keeps the content alive, right? Thank you for that.
Yes.
I'll come to you, Lolade. Now, sometimes it is difficult to create content ideas. There's something called content creators block. You wake up one morning, you don't know what to post. You are out of ideas. You're just blank. And most content creators go through that a lot. I believe that there are people in the audience right now that must have experienced that form of block. You don't know what to post next because you are out of ideas. You are out of inspiration. So my question now is, how can people, business owners, creatives, marketing professionals, how can they come up with ideas for content? Or what platforms, even if they cannot come up with an idea by themselves, there are platforms that can inspire them to create content. So in just 5 minutes, okay? Tell us how people can come up with content ideas or examples of some platforms. Maybe it's Quora, maybe it's Reddit, where people can go on and get inspired to create content.
All right. So I said there are many ways to break out of writers. And, you can do this in two ways, the fast ways and the slow way. The fast ways and the slow ways. So let me just talk about the fast ways that you can use to break through writers. So for me, what I always do is I reread some customers' testimony. You get
customers' testimonials.
Testimonials. Sorry, testimonials. So when I reread them, I find 3 pain points or problem, that describes the problems of the customers.
Okay.
So let's say, you published a content about how to eat, what to eat in the morning, what to always eat in the morning, and what to not eat. You get in the morning, and people are asking questions. People are sharing. Okay, thank you for this, thank you for this, thank you for that. And how can I do this? How can I do this? So these are the things that you read and use to come up with another content for them. So the second way you can also do it when you can't think of when you're pretty short now. Find people in your target audience.
Okay.
When you find people in your target audience, strike up conversations with them. When you start, discussing with them, you listen to their desires, their opinions. So it tends to help you up with more ideas. Get more ideas. You can also do research. You can take all kind of posts, but there is no substitute for just chatting with people in your data. It also helps with coming up with big content, even how to carry out market research. You get.
Okay, so what platforms should be a source of content inspiration? What platforms can people go to that when they go there, they are inspired and they create their own content?
Okay, the thing is this. You can't go to any platform without having a topic. So you can have a topic and you don't know what to write about the topic. So you can't formulate a topic. There should be a need for that topic you want to write about. This is the main reason why you need to know what your audience want exactly. Let's say, okay, they want blog post about how to run in the morning or how to do whatever in the morning. You need to have a topic first before saying, okay, I want to do any research or something. So when you have a topic, when you have a topic, what you can do is, go on Google, type in topic you want to write about, and read like 4 or 5 articles about the topic. Jot down different, like some points from the articles.
Happiness, you have something to say?
Yes, I think if you're creating content for brand, the major purpose is to serve your customers. There are a lot of platforms I use to get what my target audience are searching for. So it helps you create content for socials. I'm going to list out a few I use.
Awesome.
There's Answer the Public. There's Question Hub. I think it's in its beta phase it's a Google tool. There is usetopic.com. You use Google keywords, you use Google Trends for bloggers and the rest. So those platforms help you. You type in your brand name or your brand niche, and it brings out it gives you a list of what people are typing in related to that. So let me say your brand name is Piggyvest. I'm going to use that for example. So so you type in that into these platforms I've listed, and it gives you what people are searching for. People could be searching for how to get to Piggyvest, how to invest on Piggyvest, so there are so many questions for FAQs on your website, backlinking, and sometimes for creating social videos. So it helps you create more valuable and relatable content that is actually answering a question to these people. Yes, I will put it there. So those are the sites I use. And also I'm throwing, you'd never go wrong with asking people back on your social platform, what would you like us to tell you more about our brand? What do you want to know more? And so all of that. So that also works whenever you run out of content ideas, and also repurposing your previous videos back into. So, I mean, I think, social listening comes in play in this. So when you listen and you find out what people are talking about on your brand and what they're actually asking, it gives you an idea of what's next, what kind of content to actually create in that line. So I think that answers the question.
Yes, that totally answers the questions. Yes, totally answers the questions. You've listed some websites. Please just drop them in the chat section so that people can, take them from there. Irene, I'll come to you now. Do you have any of those platforms that you use, aside the one that Happiness has mentioned? Do you have any other platforms that might be useful for content inspiration?
Yes, Pinterest is a great place. TikTok is a greater place. Google is amazing, right? So I'm going to give you an example.
Okay.
I'm working on a page for someone. It's a gospel music page. It's at The Unboxed Praise on Instagram. Okay. And he was having a number of challenges getting people to engage because it's a Christian music thing, right? And I took a TikTok video that showed, the different people in church and the way they worship. And I posted that, I think, 3 days ago. Okay. And for the first time, he had, I think, close to 100 likes and over 3,200 or 3,100 views and all of that. And then he just got a ton of followers, right? People tend to forget that, first off, you don't have to create everything. You're a small business. Nobody expects you to create everything. The moment you have a content pillar for your page. So, for example, I have a page that is about food and travel, right? I know that my content pillars are food. I know my content pillars are travel and lifestyle, right? So it means I'm looking for content in that field. I can literally go on Pinterest to look for travel inspiration, travel tips, travel in December. So it's like there's so many things you could do, right? You can go to Google and literally type it out. I think he said that, type it out, and there's a top article, and they're all saying different things, right? And you don't have to write travel tips. You don't have to suggest Google. Sometimes you're typing and you give you other suggestions, right? And I think one thing that helps is thinking Black Friday. What's the next big thing people will be talking about? How can I create for that? And also, how can I curate for that? So it's not just creation. How can I also collect content that other people have created, with their permission, of course, and with due attribution? How can I get that, put it on my page, and just paste it?
Yeah, that's very important, because there are times that businesses might not have the capacity to create their own content, so they curate. And curation is easy, using someone else's content, but of course with their permission. It's very, very important as well. Okay. Okay, so I'll go to you, Lolade. I can see we already have some questions as well, but we'll take them after the panel session. Lolade, the internet is filled with different categories of people. We have the baby boomers, we have the millennials, and we have Gen Z. So the question is, how can businesses, startups, and entrepreneurs, how can they create content specifically for their target audience? There are things that baby boomers like on social media. There are things that millennials like. There are things that Gen Zs, they like. Right? So, but the question is, how can I tailor my content to fit people that are in the millennial category? Or how can I create content to fit those in the Gen Z category? Because no two categories are alike. There are different people in each category. So, but how can, business owners, how can they create content that fits millennials or Gen Zs or baby boomers?
Yeah, what I would say is, before you create content, you know your audience, right? So after knowing your audience, the best thing you need to do is to do segmentation, audience segmentation. And one of the segmentations that I would say you should use to determine what to do is this demographic of segmentation. You want to know age, you want to know location, you want to know their income, you want to know their education, you want to know their ethnicity, etc. You want to know people in your target audience. Are they elderly people? Are they young adults? Are they teenagers? Are they kids? So knowing this would help you decide on your choice of tone when choosing words to use to speak to them. It is not the same way you address an elderly person that you used to address a teenager. You probably must sound respectful to an elderly person. So what I always do in this regard is I create I'll open my Google Doc. What you will do is open your Google Doc.
Okay.
Type so when you know your audience, okay, you want to be selling fruit, know the people that buy fruit. So then you do your audience segmentation. You have this demographic, you have this psychographic and all that. So when you have this demographic, you list them. Okay, this age 10 to age 20, age this to age that, how they behave, how their purchasing habits, how they relate with content, what they want to consume. Okay, let me give an example. Some weeks ago, someone sent a cold email to one of my boss, and he said the greetings was hey Lekon. So yeah, he said hey Lekon. The boss actually found it offensive. A is normal something for me. You send A to me, I will react normally. I will write with hello or whatever. But he found it offensive. So when I put the post out on LinkedIn, people are saying A is normal stuff and all that. So I always tell people we have there is this dynamics. This culture dynamics and everything. These are the things you need to key into before creating whatever content you want to create for them. Because you won't say to an elderly person, you won't say hello, how was the day? Even this of the thing that people are sending out now, get or whatever, you won't want to send out to maybe one Mama Lagbo, or wherever you get. So the best way to do that is just to do your segmentation. It's very, very important. Do your segmentation. So know their age, their age. When you know their age, know their how they consume content.
Yeah.
Know how they consume content online, because for any content to be well received, the type or the kind of audience receiving it must be well researched. You get
well researched.
That does the magic. That does the magic. That is it. You can't just sit down and say, okay, because you are 50-year-old, you want to create content for a 50-year-old person. You get even if you don't know how to do this, you get outsource it to people that will do it for you. It allows you to get to know your customers, identify what is needed in your market segment, and determine how you can best meet those needs with your product or services. And also, what is also important in these places, before creating content on wherever, you already have a position in the market. This market brand positioning. Maybe you are a luxury, you are a mid-sized brand or wherever. You need to know how to relate how they want to consume content. Like now, I'm always busy. Most of the time, I prefer listening to podcasts. I don't get so when I'm listening to podcasts, I get to do other things. Not that I'll just be stuck reading 3,000 words or wherever you get. So you need to know them. Are they busy? Are they people that are always busy? So you can always I should create podcast. I should create blog posts. Like me now, even when I'm driving or wherever, I can easily put in my earphone and start vibing to whatever information you have for me. So
I'll cut you short on that because of time. Happiness, I'll come to you now. What do you think businesses should look out for when targeting their communication to a particular age group on social media? What should they look out for? If I want to send or share a content and I want it to resonate well with millennials, what do millennials like? What should businesses look out for when they want to create a specific content for a specific target audience?
I think with that question, it's all just your tone of voice is just going to be the major key. It's what differentiates the kind of content. It differentiates every content, the tone of voice you use in putting it out. If I am addressing a very young generation, say 20 to 25, I know they are the trendy ones. They're the ones on majorly creating the OKs on Twitter and all of that, creating the whole trend. So you would want to be in tune with the trend. Speak. So that's the kind of language they understand. So if you're that, you have to embody that character. You have to embody that character and speak and relate as that kind of person. If you're trying to target a younger generation like a Gen Z, I mean, they are the TikTok ones and the rest, and I guess. So, I mean, you have to spend more time there, figure out what is trending, speak in that language. If you can have some of them, I mean, as your influencer, people that are going to be working as influencers for you, I mean, that would be a bonus. But I mean, speaking, understanding their language, embody their character. I mean, it's more about spending more time on the platform. You can't take yourself out of the platform and try to come in. You're just going to be off tune or something. So I think it's mostly about the tone of voice that differentiates every content.
Yes, I agree with you. The tone of voice, embodying the character of your target audience, very key, because when you step into their shoes, then you understand what they like, what they don't like, what interests them, and what tickles their fantasy. But we need to first of all come down to the level of that audience, that target audience, and speak in their language, interact the way they interact. Only then can we
resonates with them.
Exactly. Only then can we create content specifically for them. Okay?
Yes.
Now I go to you, Irene. There's paid content, there's organic content. Both of them are content, right? But what are the benefits of paid content? What are the benefits of organic content? I know that some people will say, oh, if it's not organic, it's not organic. People will say, oh, but you need paid content to really reach a huge number of people. Of course, there are benefits. Of course, there are disadvantages. But let's look at the benefit side from you, Irene. What are the benefits of paid content and organic content?
Okay, so I would say that paid versus organic is that the difference between that is that with organic content, you get more loyal customers, right? So people that you get with organic content are more loyal because they like what you put up, right? And they will stay for longer. They will check up on you. They will start chatting with you. They'll literally keep coming back, right? With organic content, with paid content, it's different, sorry. So a lot of people that you get from paid content are not very loyal. Let me tell you the truth, right? So you will find that they're not staying there for longer. Lots of them are just interested in whatever you have to offer at that point in time. And after that, it's ego P, you understand? So I would say you find a mix of paid and organic content, and you find a way to promote your organic content so that you can get people who are actually interested in what you have to put out. So that's the key, mix up.
Okay, you briefly...
One line. I think paid content bring people, organic content keeps people. So just that.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the killer line, because when you are promoting a content, you get attention, you get people, and just like Irene said, some of these people are there for the now. What are you giving us now? Especially people who do giveaways and they just want to promote the giveaways. People just come, take your giveaway, and then they go. Right? But organic content takes time to build. It's more strategic. Paid content is more tactical. You have a campaign that you want people to participate in. Of course, that campaign has a timeline, right? People come in, you promote the campaign, people come in, they participate, it's a competition, it's a contest, anything, they come in, people win, yada, 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 and then they go back.
So regardless of how much you spend paying, you also have to spend more in creating valuable content, organic content.
Yeah, and let me add one or two things to what you said. And with organic content, you tend to build the base and the pillars of your brand. You get, and with paid content, you can further build on your organic content. So I think that is the major thing. You can't just start out and say, okay, I want to be running paid ads, I want to be doing paid content. You have to there has to be this pillar and base already. You have to have this pillar, and organic content help you build relationship. You get, relationship building is one thing that organic content does for you.
I agree.
Yeah, you get to build relationship, and you get to build awareness, brand awareness. And the most important thing is organic helps to build sustainable brand.
True.
I don't think you can build a sustainable brand with only paid content. So the two stuff works together for each other. So that's
okay. So I was saying that organic content is more strategic. It's long term, and paid content is more tactical. It's short term because you want something for a period of time, so you promote that content, you get what you want, and everybody goes home. But organic content is more long term. It's more about positioning your brand in a way that when somebody mentions savings, they remember Piggy Vest. When somebody mentions UX or UI design, they remember Figma, for example. That is what organic content does. Organic content establishes your brand in the minds of people, that anywhere they go to, wherever they hear betting, they remember, their mind automatically goes to Bet Ninja. That's what organic content does. But paid content is more short term, is more tactical, is more for the now. Okay, and I really like the way we all shared our 2 cents about this, because it's important for people to know the difference between the two of them. It's important for people to know what benefits they get from organic content and what benefits they get from paid content. Now let's talk about the disadvantages. Of course, everything has an advantage and everything has a disadvantage. So in 10 minutes, I'm going to ask the three of you to tell me, one, You tell me one disadvantage for paid content, one disadvantage for organic content. So I'll start with you, Irene. Tell me one disadvantage of paid content and organic content.
Okay, the major disadvantage of organic content is that it literally takes too long. So if you put out organic content, you can't expect it to take immediately.
True.
It takes too long and you have to push it, right? Now, the major disadvantage for paid content is that you're spending money and you cannot keep spending money. So
True.
paid content is not always the smartest way to push your business, which is why you have to find a mix between the two. When do I pay and when do I just promote with organic means?
Okay, great. Lolade, we come to you now. One disadvantage of organic content, one disadvantage of paid content.
Okay, yeah. Paid content can organically take your focus away from building an organic brand and growth engine. You build too much dependency on paid reach and media. So that is the major disadvantage of paid. So organic, the returns are not quick. The returns for organic content are not quick. So it is hard to measure. It is not quick hard. So nobody's want to do it. That is why it's an opportunity. Because nobody likes doing what is hard. So it takes time to get it. So nobody wants to do it. That is the major thing about organic.
Okay.
Returns are not quick.
So we come to you, Happiness. One disadvantage of organic content, one disadvantage of paid content.
I'm not sure I have a disadvantage for either if done rightly. But I would say restricting or whatever could be, like someone earlier mentioned, organic content is more long term. They may initially not bang. And by bang, you know what I mean? Like you may think, you didn't reach, but eventually somebody goes back and it's actually answering a question that they need. But paid content, on the other hand, doesn't really give you loyal people like Irene says. So, but either way, doing both right, there's no disadvantage. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great. We know the difference. We know what we stand to gain and what we sometimes stand to lose when we either do the two of them. Okay, now we move to the last segment of this panel session, and this talks about the content marketing trends to look out for in 2021. And when we're talking about the trends, please relate them to social media, because the topic is creating content marketing strategies for social media. So whatever trend you're about to share with us now, it must relate with social media. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, TikTok, and the rest. So what are those content marketing trends that we should look out for in 2021? I'll start with you, Irene.
Yes, I would say that in 2021, as a small business or a small brand, you have to understand that there's increased competition from people with money, right? People with money have come out now. They've understood that, look, digital is a big deal, and they have the money to back it up, right? So if you don't start looking for creative ways to optimize your content, creative ways to put your stuff out, it means that you will get kicked out of the market very soon. You don't want that. So first thing first is SEO. I like the fact that he spoke about SEO, but then people forget that SEO also works on social media. Before this month, I was anonymous online, right? And one day I made the mistake of putting my 3 handles in my bio. And the next thing I know, Google had my entire history, right? And I had to go and take everything out one by one, right? From your name to your bio. So I see a lot of people have started in their social media name, they put Irene, brand strategist. So if you're looking for brand strategists, you see things like that. When I try to look for hotels, that's how I find hotels. I literally just search for hotels in Nairobi on Instagram and I find them. So people that have learned how to optimize their social media pages, using alt text on their posts, tagging handles and brands, all of that means that they're creating like an entire ecosystem that, you can use to find them more easily. Another thing is also tapping into the newer tools that are created. So every year, everybody likes to talk about how video is a huge deal. So I think we've moved beyond video is a huge deal to where is video being used, right?
Okay.
So for example, Reels are great. Reels are like amazing for your reach on social media because they just brought them out. The moment they bring out a new tool, you need to actually rush and use those new tools because they are going to optimize for those new tools. They will prioritize people using those new tools before the other guys, right? So how do you use things like this? How do you use video? How do you repurpose content for your own, across channels for your own usage? So think of the new thing they just brought out on Twitter, fleets, all those things, you know, how do you use them to push your content? Then another thing is humanization of brands. So people connect with people, not brands. We've been able to grow Halo Invest. It's my Halo Invest on Twitter and Instagram. We've been able to grow that using the people in my company, right? So it's like, who are the people working with me? Our highest posts have been posts that are about people, not about the money itself, not even about the brand. So we need to start optimizing our content. SEO is going to kick off. Curation is going to kick off. More tools are coming out. Optimization of those tools will kick off, right? And then finally, yes, using micro-influencers and using people. Micro-influencers, as they mentioned before, are great because they actually have people that care about them, family and friends. So how do you tap into that?
Okay, great. I think I wrote some things down. You talked about SEO for social media accounts, right? When you are creating your bio on social media, you need to make sure that you have specific keywords in your bio so that when people search for digital marketer on Instagram, for example, your profile pops up at least maybe top 5 or top 10. This only happens when you have those specific keywords on your social media account. You talked about optimization, you talked about videos. I think videos are long-term going to be very, very useful for small businesses and even entrepreneurs as well. We have a lot of tools now, especially on Instagram, that helps video creators now become even more creative. And then I believe that very soon we will have those video tools also on Twitter and maybe other platforms like Facebook, for example. Then you talked about humanizing your brand. Exactly. You talked about humanizing your brand on social media. I also believe that is very, very critical. You sell to people, so it's a people to people kind of thing. I always tell businesses, especially small businesses that are really, really struggling to sell, I tell them that the fact that you're struggling to sell does not mean that everything about your business has to be your product. You go to some vendors' accounts on Instagram, their profile picture is a shoe or a bag. That is totally unacceptable. And I think that especially these small businesses, they need to understand that humanizing their brand is even more important for sales and long-term connection and relationship with their audience. Okay, so I got that. Now I move to Happiness. Another day will come to you last. Happiness, tell me some content marketing trends that we should look forward to in 2021.
I think she said most of it. But I think the dynamics of influencer marketing is going to evolve past just using amplifiers to using actual creators here, because we see a lot of experts in different fields coming out now to build identity and to build I've forgotten the word to use, but you start using deliberate creators in fields like say finance. We have I've forgotten her name, but you have different people filmmaking, you have people in tech, you have, so instead of just using random influencers with a large following, now people are going to be very deliberate about who they use to push out their brands. So dynamics of influencer marketing is going to evolve.
I also agree.
A lot of platforms are infusing video into their themes. We see Instagram, like she said, with the reels and all of that. So it just goes to prove that video marketing is just going to keep evolving as time keeps coming by. So I think brands need to invest in videos, and videos are actually a way to actually get your content far across to a wide range of audience, beyond graphics and the rest. So it has more reach. And I think, So I think video has, a lot of reach, and people should invest in that.
In that as well.
Strong, I believe in. So,
talking about influencer marketing, I also think that micro influencers are the future of influencer marketing. Not the big ones that would, rip your neck and take a lot of budget from you. I believe that micro influencers, the ones that have organic following, 5K, 9K, 10K, these are people that have built their audience over time, and they are really open to collaborations and partnerships. So I think that people need to really focus on that.
To understand the meaning of influencing now. So influencing is starting to.
People should really focus on that. Small businesses, even established businesses, right? They spend so much on one person as a brand ambassador. There's so much or so little, I'll say so little, that one person can do, when that particular budget can fit into a list of micro influencers to work with. Okay? Of course, Irene says that when working with influencers, ask them for their back-end data. As a matter of fact, there are tools that would help you as a business owner to get those back-end data yourself, right? You can actually do like an audit, a social media audit on these accounts even before you work with them. Okay, so Lolade, I come to you next. Content marketing trends for 2021. What should we look forward to? Is Lolade here? I think we lost him.
Hello?
Oh, okay, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So one of the trends I think we should look out for in 2021 is relationship generation.
Okay.
You get, not lead generation again. I think it's time we changed the definition of a lead. Get in 2021. So I think the bottom line, the bottom line is we have to do better at building relationship based on know me, like me, and trust me. People have to trust you before they buy from. So I think we need to start replying to comments on organic and paid channels. It will give you rapid insights on objections, questions, etc. Directly from the market that fueled content strategy. So so you should stop. And one thing people should stop trying to do is stop trying to jump people into a meeting or whatever they don't want or they didn't ask for. People need to stop that. So we need to start replying to comments publicly, so others viewing the post see the question and answer and privately, so you can get to book meetings. So it's not about just booking meeting or collecting email addresses and call them lead. That I think that should be stopped in 2021. So personally, I'll be focusing on creating real relationships and helping my clients to do the same. So I think the second trend I look out for is delivering enriching experiences with our content.
Okay.
You get our content. We should put out content that focuses on adding value that feels good.
Okay.
Adding value that feels good. Creating content that feels human, not just we want to create content. We need to create content that add value to audience
people's lives.
So that is something I'm looking at.
Okay, awesome. I think we have everything clear. We have relationship building. I mean, that's also something that a lot of brands will start to do now, having conversations rather than just putting out content and waiting for comments to come in. No, brands need to start initiating the conversation themselves, and then garnering traction, engagement, and then it starts to have like a ripple effect, right? Because the truth is, most people, in fact, many people will start moving towards the brands that are interesting. And that's the truth. That's just the truth. We see a lot of content from brands like Piggyverse, Smiley Socks, even Flutterwave. The way they communicate on social media is engaging. there are lots of comments and engagement, and that's how you build long-lasting relationships with your audience. Okay, so in less than 4 minutes, we have 4 minutes to go, and we can take 2 questions from the audience. If you have your questions, please type them in the comment section or in the chat section. I think we had a question from Kolakbo Imam. Okay, would you consider listening, social and others, a major component to creating a great content strategy? Social listening, right? Do we think that social listening is important to creating a content strategy? So I'll direct that to Irene.
Social listening is extremely important, right?
Okay.
You cannot know what people are saying about you or your competition unless you're listening online. So it's like, how do you make sure that you're always a part of the conversation, right? For example, with Halo Invest, if somebody mentions money, I send it to the group immediately for my community manager to be on that, right? Somebody talks about being broke immediately. Like I literally sit down and search for broke. I search for money because I'm trying to find ways. And then another thing I do is I've realized that beyond the banks and investment companies like Piggyvest, Rise, Bamboo, those are the companies that are in my competitive landscape, right?
Okay.
So how do I know what people are saying about them? If somebody says, oh, I don't like the way their blue is, I really do not put blue in your app. So it's like extremely important, not just in communication, but in product development.
Yeah, I totally agree too, because social listening ought to be part of your content strategy. Because if you don't listen, how do you want to respond? If you don't listen to people's problems, how do you want to solve their problems? You can't imagine a problem and solve it, right? It starts first by listening. Okay, so we've answered that question by Kolakbo Imam. I don't know if anyone has any question next before we wrap up this event. Yeah, the comment section is filled with a lot of impactful conversation, which is good, which is very good. Okay, so in the absence of no question, this is where we bid our farewell. First of all, I need to say a very big thank you to all the panelists. Okay, every one of you added huge value to the conversations we had today. There were lots of key takeaways. I call them key takeaways for attendees, because now they've written down very important ideas and advices, and I'm pretty sure they will go back and see how they can implement those advices, those ideas, how they can now listen more, how they can create content for millennials and Gen Zs, how they can create strategic communication, how to lend a voice even in an economic crisis. So thank you very much, everyone. I'm totally excited that you had the time to grace us today, and to the attendees as well, to everyone who jumped into this event and jumped out. I say a very big thank you to you, and we wish you all the best. Okay, make sure you share your comments about this event on social media, on Twitter, Instagram. Use the hashtag DigiNext Summit. We'll repost, we'll reshare, and we're gonna have this video put on YouTube so others can watch it later. Okay, so on that note, I bid you guys farewell. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your evening.